So, following up on Joseph, you realize that he is now being promoted from jail. Sometimes God puts us in places where we think we are in the least of places, but God knows where we are. God knows his assignment over your life, and God knows why he's taken you there. But there is a building that God does for us. And so as we look in the life of Joseph and what he did, and how he rose from the pit to the throne, it is important for us to learn some things. One is that sometimes God will allow us to go through these things so that he may teach us patience. Patience is grown through trying times and through storms. Corona has come. We are all locked up in homes, but patience is being grown in us. Number two, dependence is built from a level of hopelessness, knowing that it's not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. God wants us to depend on him. God wants us to depend on him. So dependence is built in us, realizing that there is nothing we can do to help ourselves but to rely on his spirit. Number three, it is also through challenging times that we discover gifts and abilities in us that would not have been discovered otherwise. When you are squeezed, when you are in a tight corner, the real gifts in you will emerge. Some people have discovered new gifts in them, ways of doing things that were unique because of this time of tightness. Number four, it's at such a time that we discover that God's purpose is more important than our comfort. 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 27 says, "No, I beat my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize." Never let your eyes wander from the prize. God has a prize. Even in the Bible, in Colossians, it's saying that because of the prize that was ahead of him, he passed through shame. He persevered shame, even shame on the cross, so that he may achieve that. Never let your eyes be moved from the prize that is ahead of you. And it is important for you to also know, number five, at such a time, God's hand in your life will not make immediate sense. God's hand in your life will not make immediate sense. By this I mean, there are times that God's work in your life is lacking sense at all. In your level of thinking, you will not see any sense why you should do whatever you are doing. But immediate sense, you will not see immediate sense. You may even think that God has an agenda to slay you, but hold your peace. He is in control even when you cannot trace his hands. At such a time, the devil comes to tempt us, and he wants to tempt us so that we may think that God hates us, and it is okay to hate him back. You may think that. The devil will want you to think that he does not care about you. The devil will want you to think that you need not to persevere. You need to murmur, complain, and start saying things. But God wants you to worship instead, because worship is what will make sense of your difficult time. Declare. Sometimes you will end up declaring that you are finished. You are finished because you are seeing things falling apart, but you are not finished until God says so. Job went through such kind of a time. The wife of Job says, break your faith, break your integrity, and curse God. Curse God so that you may die. But Job replied and said, will I not only receive good things from God and not receive calamity from him? I know that he has something he's doing. So Job did not curse God. The Bible says that in all, through that situation that Job went through, he never sinned with his tongue. At the end, in chapter 19 of the book of Job, chapter 25, verse 28, it says, for I know that my Redeemer lives, and he shall stand at the last on the earth. And after my skin is destroyed, this I know, that in my flesh I shall see God, whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold and not another. How my heart yearns within me. This was a decree of Job in the midst of his calamity, in the midst of his trouble. And he sailed through. Because in verse 23, chapter 23 of verse 10, he says, but he knows the way that I take, and when he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold. He knew he was in the process of being purified. When we are in comfort, it is easy for us to forget why we are alive. But Job said, he knows the way I take. There is no time that God's GPS on you, his servant, is blocked. He always knows where you are. He will locate you. And he knows that you are going through testing. But after he has finished with you, you'll come out as God. As I conclude, I want to just read what Job said in chapter 42, verse 5. That is the conclusion of chapter 19, verse 25 to 27. He says he will see the Lord. In chapter 42, verse 5, he says, I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes sees you. It is good for you to remember that God never loses sight of you. You are his servant, and the Lord wants to bless you. And I want to speak into your life that the Lord will protect you, the Lord will catapult you, the Lord will promote you, the Lord's favor will surround you, and it does not matter what happens through this season of Corona, you will come out victorious, and there is going to be a paradigm shift. It will be a time for your promotion. May God bless you.